G'day, mate. Welcome to Friday Factorio 6. It's all about the experimental demo, and I have Mojo here. Hey, mate.
Hello.
So this Friday Facts is about the introduction scenario. It's not anything that will be about free play Factorio, so if you don't care, now's a good time to click the X button, pretty much. It's like that this week. Which is funny, because I got up at 3 a.m. today and read the Friday Facts that came out at 1 a.m. I think, or 2 a.m. our time, and went and downloaded this demo and broke it. So, yeah.
I heard about that.
Yeah. So, the too long didn't read. The stable candidate of the introduction scenario is now experimental. Please play it and send me your screenshots. I tried. Feedback, especially on the freeform endgame, would be greatly appreciated. Didn't make it that far. It crashed. We've also released an experimental version of the demo. That crashed. Be sure to send this link to your friends as soon as possible. So, people can get a modern version of Factorio as part of the free demo. So yeah, if you've got friends that have been umming about Factorio, send them a link to the demo now. It's probably my first piece of advice. So, the introduction scenario has come, is now a tutorial. So the tutorial components, the introduction, are working very well now. Woob's really happy with it. They still have more polish to do. And so I didn't get this. So the introduction scenario is going to be the tutorial, and then it's also going to be a demo, and they've put it down as two separate parts that didn't really make sense.
Yeah, I thought they're the same thing, and also the NPE.
Well, I think the NPE is like, this is the first so many hours worth of tutorial stuff, and then the NPE starts after that, like a campaign from the 90s. At least,
yeah,
that's what I'm assuming. But they interchange words left, right, and center. I don't know if it's a translation thing or they're not sure, and therefore we're not sure, or I don't know anymore.
I haven't actually looked at it yet, so I don't know if it is the NPE or if it's a new scenario entirely, or if it's an expansion on the NPE.
The one when 17 came out, it's that.
Okay, so yeah, it's that final form.
It's that final form, and like there's the upgraded graphics to the crashed spaceship that we saw the other week. Crapatron has got I do really like his overlay. Rather than it being a weird text box, they've sort of, I don't know, they've sort of put up on like a, I guess Mojo remember this, like the old green screen, fonts that would come up across the middle of your screen when you had an error message or something like that. It sort of looks like that in the middle of your screen, rather than in a pop-up text box.
That you wouldn't necessarily see in
the
early versions.
Yeah, you wouldn't see it in the early versions. I think when it came out, when we got to play it, it was in the middle of the screen, or right next to Crapatron. Now it's literally right in the middle of your screen. You cannot miss it. So I do like some of the changes, and
It sounds like a challenge to some people.
What?
If it's right in the middle of the screen, you can't miss it. It sounds like a challenge.
Yeah, it could be. So yeah, and they say here, once the 17 stable comes out, the free demo will replace with just the introduction scenario. So I'm assuming that's what they mean, that this is the thing that we all had a dabble with and had, if you remember, the really horrible biters that everybody complained about. That's going to be the new demo, which I guess is okay. So yeah, let's go to the details. So what they wanted for this version of the demo. The old demo had a very limited amount of content, only about 2 hours worth of playtime, which I think I agree with. I think I spent 3 hours or so playing it. Content...
I think mine was 2 hours.
I think I recorded at the same time, and I was really trying to play like a new player. So it was a little bit slower in the playthrough. The content is not. The content it does present is very outdated and hardly could be called representative of normal Factorio. It did not even include research. I think it did. They definitely included research at the end, Or maybe we're talking the original demo, which, yeah, that's well and truly out of date.
Original demo did. I was. That's another thing. Is it? Do they mean the demo is in the one they brought in 17, or do they mean the old demo?
I think they're talking about the old demo. See, this the thing. The words and the meanings move back and forth, and I'm never sure.
So I'm pretty sure you did like some really, really basic research
Yeah,
in
I
the
think you
original
did.
demo because it got you to make a steam engine and build a lab and then kill some biters.
Maybe you just placed the lab and you didn't actually use the lab. Yeah, that seems to ring a bell.
That might be because the mission after it, you had to collect items to go find the base which had the two train stops.
Yeah, the base with the 2 train stops, and to get there, you had to make a car and jump in the car.
Yeah, and that one was all about research and stockpiling items, and it
Yeah,
continued on from the demo. It was a
yeah.
slightly expanded map.
So, yeah, look, what they've done so far, I'm liking, but we're going to get into some of the more details in a sec. So, they had a couple of design constraints for the new demo. Some were the player can fail during the demo, which I actually like the idea of, and difficulty is respectful. Fate danger is disrespectful, which again I really like the idea of. So they wanted to demonstrate a wider range of Factorio concepts, including a small taste of Death World difficulty, which I don't think is really good for new players. And they decided to do this with the final quest, where, well, this is from the original-ish version, where literally waves and waves and waves and waves worth of biters came in. As bad as the wave defense, which is one of the scenarios included in the game. And if you haven't played it, you really should, but it was over the top. It's nothing like that is in normal Factorio gameplay.
And that's not something you want. You don't, because that makes people think that's
It
what
gives people
normal
a
free play.
false impression of what Factorio is. Because realistically, for your average player, you can ignore biters. Honestly. Like,
Yeah, you really can.
people...
I remember when I first did my first free play map, I was staring at the thing for biters, whether or not to put them on peaceful or reduce them. And I was like, am I going to take them on? And then eventually I was like, yeah, I'll just do the full experience, and left it all default.
See, I played with biters... I don't know, because I came in via multiplayer by a friend. I don't know whether I bother with biters. And then, not far into it, I was like on the mod portal looking for mods to give me like Death World experience biters. Like really, really hard. I wanted to fight for every square meter. Because, yeah, they can really be a very big pushover, providing you out-tech them. Like, if they out-tech you, you're screwed.
You came in 15 though, didn't you?
No, like 13?
13? That's
When
interesting.
multiplayer started.
That would have been 13, but back then
12 to 13.
Could get Death Worlds by default.
You did. And then I bumped it up. And then I bumped it up again in 14.
You actually managed to bump... Well, 14 did have
14, they made it a lot easier than 13, yeah.
Because the version 12 and older generations, when you got out to a certain point,
it was a solid
the game
red
didn't
mass.
Generate anything but biter bases.
Yeah, it was a solid red mass. And I missed that. I wanted the solid red mass to start sooner. So you could like start a little starter base and then you just have to literally fight your way everywhere. As long as you don't run out of resources, it's fine. So, but yeah, we also wanted to add an invisible dynamic difficulty curve meant that everybody was challenged to the breaking point, veterans and new players alike, which was where I think they made a mistake at least. So after the first version of 17 came out, everybody played this battle or this new player experience demo, whatever you want to call it. Some people loved it, some people hated it. Who is it that wrote this one?
Avocado.
Avocado received many elated emails saying how intense the final battle was and how sweet the victory felt. He also received a pseudo hate mail about 1,000-hour players rage quitting, which I don't blame him, because what you went into was nothing like Factorio. it had the feel of Factorio until you got to the end, at which point it wasn't. Yeah. So the reason a lot of vets were failing is because they were pretending to be new players, which I did the same. They generally meant they're playing as a vet using shortcut keys and a high APM, heavy pollution, but placing very few turrets, generally in suboptimal locations, and being lazy with ammunition delivery. New players felt pressured and were generally able to pull off a close victory. Many said they were overrun in the end, but still were victorious, giving an interesting moment to leave the game and start free play with a higher heart rate, which I like the idea of. But basically, the scenario code was set up as the closer to 100% you got that final research, the more often biters got spawned and sent in at you. And the idea was, as you got closer and closer and closer, more and more biters showed up. And I remember Kavorax had a score of over 9,000 kills. And these are only small biters. Like, they are nothing. But then again, you have...
They're just cannon fodder.
They are cannon fodder, but then again, you have gun turrets with no upgrades. I think maybe you have bullet shooting speed 1 or bullet damage 1. So you are actually going through a decent amount of ammo, killing them off.
Yeah.
Also, like, we had no undergrounds. You did have or didn't have long-handed inserters? I can't remember. So
I don't think you had long-handed inserters. I'm pretty sure you do have undergrounds, though.
No, we didn't. We didn't, because that was one of my number one complaints. I had to
Oh,
build
yeah.
a belt
No
all the way
undergrounds and
around.
splitters, yeah.
Yeah, no splitters. Yeah, I had to build a belt of ammo all the way from my left-hand side of the base, all the way around the top to the right-hand side to get ammo delivered to the gun turrets. It was annoying because we definitely didn't have long-handed, because I would have used long-handed to go over a belt, and we didn't have undergrounds, so I couldn't go under a belt. It's like every single belt was an immovable object that I couldn't run another belt across. It was annoying. So yeah. So the feedback they got was far more positive than negative, but the negative feedback, they had were two recurring themes. The most common negative feedback was such intense combat, but not represented in Factorio, which we've both already said. The second most common feedback was player did not expect such a difficulty in a tutorial level, which I agree. Normally tutorials are laid back. And
Pretty laid back, yeah.
easier than the normal game normally. They really want to lull you into a false sense of security, so you buy the game and then realize that you don't really like it. At least most devs are like that.
Well, at the end of the day, this is the first impressions, and it really it needs to sell the game within 20 minutes. And how effective it is how well it's going to sell it.
See, like, a short tutorial's not a good tutorial. It has to keep you engaged. I agree. It has to keep you interested in what's happening next. But then again, like they've already said that the normal tutorial's about 2 hours, and then later on they say there's potentially 10 hours worth of content here, which I like the idea of. I like that you could get a demo and play it for 10 hours. That is essentially a whole day on the weekend. You could sit down and play one demo, and if you manage to lose 10 hours in a demo, you're like, yeah, I'm part with my money. Like, take it, please.
That's actually something you don't really get anymore, because when
You don't.
demos were really and shareware was really at its peak, that was generally what they targeted, was anywhere from 20 minutes to 2 hours of content.
Yeah.
Or
So
more for some.
yes, more for some. Yep.
Or
So
entire freaking episode. Rise of Triad. The whole separate game.
yeah, Rise of the Triad was all of episode 1. Doom was also episode 1, wasn't it?
Yeah, Doom was all episode 1. No, Wolfenstein was episode 1, which they got that from. No, Rise of the Triad, the shareware was an entire separate bloody game.
Was it?
None of the Rise of the Triad shareware was in the full game. It was just
Oh,
a whole lot of new level. It was just a whole separate set of missions and stuff.
oh wow, okay. I'd say I had Rise of the Triad, but it was a full game. So tangents on tangents. So
I was just itching for that,
yeah,
Tangent.
look, we're halfway through roughly. It's time we had a good tangent. So, what we've done they wanted to change the original tutorial that we saw in version 17. So they had a couple of solutions. So failed solution 1, send less biters. It removes ammunition as a production pressure and makes turret placement irrelevant, because we had a lot of experienced players just not putting turrets where they should, which I agree. Like, sending less spiders is not an answer. Solution number 2, ramp up the attack slower. Only new players experience this challenge as they've most likely built the fewest number of labs and will take the longest time to finish the quest, whereas vets will finish before the attacks build up in any meaningful level. Solution number 3, add more time between the waves. So for a player to have enough notice between the waves, there's a chance that I will finish the research before the first one comes. And the most common failure state was when a turret with 200 rounds is destroyed, meaning the player cannot craft enough new ammo to keep up with the waves, which is, why I ran a belt of ammo all the way around my base, and then the inserters couldn't keep up with the ammo going in the gun turret, and the belt couldn't keep up with the ammo going on the belt, and bad things happen.
It's funny because that's generally how the old PvP matches generally fail, generally set who the winner was, because something as simple as losing a turret full of ammo is so devastating because it's all that lost production time.
It is. And it's
all that production that was invested.
It's like if I'm going out and I'm fighting like vanilla biters, even if they're a little bit more difficult than normal, I want like 2,000 rounds. Because I'm putting down a row of gun turrets in front of me and then right-clicking and putting 100 rounds in each. And I know I'm going to lose more rounds in blown-up gun turrets than I'm going to actually fire at the enemy. But there's no way to say, hey, I only want to put 25 in each gun turret with a right-click inside Factorio without resorting to mods. And I guess I still think that's maybe a problem.
Yeah, a little bit.
But I also don't think it's something they'll ever do anything about. So,
Not likely. It's one of those things which is kind of a problem, but kind of not at the same time, because
it's kind of a problem like oil's a problem.
Let's not open up last week.
Okay, that's last week and next week. Okay, sure, no problem.
And next week, yes. Yeah. It's going to be next week. It's not poor Sulfur in those wounds.
Yep. So, their new solution was remove the challenge quest completely, which
for some sulfur on that challenge.
For a tutorial, I completely agree, right? So instead, the player is told to destroy the biter spawners to reduce the attack frequency, and they're left to deal with free play style attacks. The structure of the final quest is similar to the free play itself. Research the technology at the bottom of the tech tree. The player now needs to automate logistics science packs to win the introduction, which I agree. This is the best answer they have. This is what a tutorial should be. And don't get me wrong, I really like the biters got worse as the tech finished. And I really think they should apply something like that to like a wave defense scenario, because it was a lot of fun. Maybe if it's just like a 1 hour, get the highest score possible scenario that people can brag about, done. But yeah, this was their final solution. And like I said, I went to go try and play it, and I got this bug where I downloaded the demo and basically the whole game crashed. They had a bug in the scenario code. Yeah, well, they released... This was 1761, and they've already released 1762. There
you go. It's already fixed. I take it.
It's already fixed. One of the guys had to go in on the weekend and push the fix. But the one thing I did want to mention, which I actually really, really liked, is the objective window was unchanged compared to what it was originally, but they did have this more hints button. And if you clicked on that, it actually gave you some of the things that, like, again, old school games from the 90s, you wouldn't get unless you actually picked up the paper manual and read the paper manual. Because there would be hints in the manual that weren't in the game. Because normally they've been added after somebody had scripted the tutorial.
And unlike most games in the 90s which had hints in the printed manual where those hints had no relation to the game at all, because the way the game worked had changed since they printed it.
No, because manuals tend to get printed later. Because games have to go gold, and then they have to go out to duplication houses, and then go in the boxes. The boxes were made earlier. The manuals were one of the last things normally printed. And you generally find hints in the manual that weren't in the game or in the tutorial, because that would obviously be done months prior before it went gold, and then manuals being printed later. Yeah. Either way, I love the little more hints. More hints was really good. They didn't cover having two burner inserters face one another, but they did cover like how you can control left click on a box to empty it, how you could hold down right click to open. Hold down control and left click on a smelter to empty the smelter of iron plates, copper plates, whatever it happened to be. All those sorts of little things that you know and learn as an experienced player, but as a new player, you have no idea that these things exist. Same as in Factorio, nobody knew when it first launched that you could hold down shift and drag something in and out of your inventory, and if there were multiple stacks of that item, it would drag like all the stacks across. Everybody assumed and went with the Factorio commands of hold down control and click, and then nothing happened. So people would drag stuff across one stack at a time. So yeah, one of those things that I liked. I really, really liked. So we had other demo goodies. We don't want somebody to pay for the game and just to see if they like it. It also fits well with our no sales policy. We already offer an extended refund period to players who buy the game on our website if they gave the game a red hot go but discovered it was not for them. So I didn't find this out till we covered it in the last Friday Facts, I think it was, that they have a 28-day refund policy, which is just unheard of. So yeah, the fact that they want to put out a demo, they want to demonstrate most of the game, and then if you don't like it, you've got 4 weeks to refund it, which most trial software for most applications and stuff is like 7 days. That's all you get. If you can't work out whether you want to pay us, what was the editing software I was looking at? Well, we both use Vegas, which is like $600. If you can't decide you want to fork out $600 in the next 7 days, bad luck, your trial's over. So yeah, this is when we're pointing out that they love demos from the 90s and they wish it was still exist. And where are we? And yeah, they suspect there's about 10 hours worth of stuff to do after you finish playing at the end of the introduction. So they've added something past that final infinite wave that doesn't exist. So we've got a complete and unique tech tree that adds advanced logistics science packs, mining productivity, infinite tech, shooting speed, infinite tech for shooting speed, I gather. Grenades, steel, piercing rounds, car, medium power poles, which I don't remember having last time. Heavy armor, submachine gun.
I don't think they were there.
What?
I don't think they were there.
I don't think so. Assembly Machine 2, which I don't remember being there either.
That would be... No, that wasn't in there before. In fact, that entire layer wasn't... You couldn't do robotics. You couldn't do Assembly Machine 2. You only had access to Assembly Machine 1.
So I remember Assembly Machine 1, like there was no splitters, there was no undergrounds, there was no medium power poles. I don't remember underground pipes. In fact, I'm pretty sure I had to run square, straight pipes, which was really annoying because I ran out of tiles.
I don't remember.
So yeah, they've added a lot to what's in the new crafting menu. By the way, all red assemblers are gone. Or actually, mine crashed before I got the red assembler. So maybe I'll take that back. But yeah, here's a list of the tech tree. And it does say infinite mining productivity and infinite... What's that? Shooting speed? Have to be shooting speed. Shooting speed, yep.
I think it's shooting speed.
And then they've got this last picture, which is the size of the final player area is also much bigger.
Yeah, that map is the NBE. Yeah, I recognise it.
Yeah, I don't remember this being any bigger.
Oh, this is significantly bigger.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so the little spot of iron on the left-hand side, where the like 4 biter bases are, that's where you start.
And
then you run to the
a little
right.
bit to the right of that. You're a little bit further to the right, I think.
No, dead set. That's where you start. I did it today.
Hang on. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's it. And then the 2 dots on their own to the left of that is where the initial spawn point was. where the old infinite rushes used to come from. And same with that to the right, where those bases are.
So I remember the bases on the far right, and they were horrible, and they'd send in non-stop biters. And I remember roughly the ones on the left. I fortified literally right in front of the copper on the right, and just to the left, actually where Sansa is standing. Yeah, where Sansa is standing. That's where I put in my left-hand wall. But I remember the map being about this size, because I remember that there's the car down the bottom right-hand corner, and then there's a special thing in the bottom left-hand corner, and then I want to say it's either electric miners or speed modules in the top left-hand corner. It's something unique.
Then again, I never played the thing when it came out in 17.
I did. I had a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to play with.
I probably should have. But I played it I already played the NP quite a bit in the months beforehand, so I wasn't really interested in playing.
Oh, that's right. You done beta testing, alpha testing.
Yeah, I got the special key.
Yeah. So, no, I remember playing in like 13, 14, 13, 12 and 14. I probably played one of the early ones, because I do remember the train that goes back and forth between the two stations and something else, and the original crash site.
That was a fun map. I remember playing that the train map again last year, I think it was. Knowing what I know now and just curb stomping all the biters. This is actually not that difficult to do.
No, it was really, really easy, and that's sort of the whole point of Factorio and a tutorial. A tutorial/demo. They're meant to be a little bit easy. They're meant to sort of usher you into a full sense of security of, yeah, biters are a little bit annoying, but they're not that bad, and then you start playing. They're not meant to give you a death world, even the hint of a death world existing. That's for the point where you're experienced. You know what biters are, you know how to tech up past them, and you want a challenge. And then you go, yeah, okay, let's do a death world, because it's in the options menu for a new game. Let's try this crap out. And it normally leads to players dying very, very quickly.
Generally, yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, look, I played this one in 17. It was a lot of fun. I do admit, from what they've said, it sounds a lot better as a tutorial. But yeah, look, the ability to have biters that increase in difficulty according to how far you are through a research. I really think some sort of wave defense style of that sounds like a really good idea. Like just have one of the devs on a weekend in their spare time between projects just start whacking together a scenario. All right, even if it's like the Battle of Thermopylae or what's the one from Lord of the Rings with the big castle and that one.
Yes.
That one, somebody will know it down in the comments, because like,
Helm's Deep.
There we go, Helm's Deep. Like one of those sorts of maps where you have so fortified in, there's just a little narrow choke point you have to defend, lots and lots of resources, and biters just slowly get harder as you go up the tech tree. And, you know, some sort of scoring system. I killed, 50,000 small biters with nothing but yellow ammo and gun turrets, whatever it happens to be. Like, that sounds like a really, really fun sort of scenario to me. But yeah, for a tutorial, nah. Let's show them how easy and fun the game is, and then let's throw them in a death world. Anyway, I don't think I've got anything else to add. I think I've rambled too much already.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything other to add, other than the side note that the only reason I remembered it was Helm's Deep is because I had I think I still have it, a Left 4 Dead 2 map where you had to defend Helm's Deep from zombies.
Really? Okay, well, we won't play some Left 4 Dead later. Anyway.
Maybe.
That's it. I'm out. Thank you guys for watching. As always, thank you, Mojo, again, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.